And every time you and then they rolled it.
And if we could have a roll call for something.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legislator Hathaway,
Present and accounted for.
Legislator Berkler. Here. Legislator Mosier. Here. Legislator Gilbert.
Here.
Legislator Chartrand.
Here.
Legislator Moorhan.
Here.
Legislator Leviker.
Here.
Legislator Osborne.
Here.
Legislator Nellenbach has been excused, and Legislator Dahlhoff.
Here. Would everyone please stand for the invocation of the pledge of allegiance, and Legislator Gilbert will lead us in the invocation, please.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this county. We thank you for the privilege that we all have to serve on this board. I ask that you would give us patience and wisdom as we work together, and just a sense of concern for people in our community, where we lift up those who are suffering, those who are lonely, and ask that they would be on the forefront of our mind as we work through our agenda. Bless this community, Lord, as you continue to do. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Washington board meeting minutes have been distributed, and if there are no amendments, they stand approved. Report of the Finance and Rules Committee per Rule 6. Cassandra, please.
The Finance and Rules Committee has met, and they recommend to waive rules to act upon late resolutions.
Someone like to move that? Lisa, second by Andrea. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Privilege of the floor. We'll start out with Michelle Ledoux. If you'd like to come forward on open fire day.
Whenever you're ready for the video,
Okay. So we do have a short video that we would like to show that is on TV. It actually started on July 31st. We could show that first, I guess.
Mark your calendars. Saturday, August 12th, Cornell Cooperative Extension of Lewis County invites you to the first annual Open Farm Day. Explore Lewis County's fantastic array of local agricultural enterprises, as 13 area farms host a variety of activities, such as tours, free samples, and animal interactions. All information on the farm locations and a map are at ccelewis.org. A fun family event. Check out local farms and their products. Open Farm Day, Saturday, August 12th. Special thanks to these fine sponsors.
So this is a very short 30-second TV commercial that is being shown on 3 different stations out of Watertown, in Lewis County, and in the North Country. This is the Open Farm Day. This is a program booklet. This will be available at the 13 farms and some businesses in the county. We have some other sponsors that are part of this, and obviously Lewis County government who supports us. We decided to do this year instead of the Family Farm Day, which has been pretty traditional for the last 8 years. This is actually going from up in Natural Bridge to Torrance, and it's actually allowing us to highlight other agricultural businesses in the county, plus dairy businesses. So there's quite a variety in here. There's a map, and also there's a description as to whether it's mushrooms or lavender or the dairy farms or a winery and an orchard, or there's actually 2 wineries that are being highlighted in here. So Melissa worked with farms that were interested in doing this. It is a 1-day event. It is from 10 to 3. And we invite the public and any of you folks who would like to go to that to tour, go through. If you go to 3 farms, there's a sign-off sheet in here and also at the farms, and then you receive a cooler bag that after you've been to 3 farms that you can put your purchases in, take home with you and have. And so we're just really hoping that this is a way for people to get around the different agribusinesses in the county. I don't know if you have any questions or any comments on it. So it's just something different than doing the Family Farm Day, but getting out. Each of the places that are doing it, there is a description, whether they have a food truck, petting animals, food for sale. They can all have things for sale, products that they have, anything that might be going on. I don't know anything I've missed, Melissa.
No, there's a, the mushroom place, Congo, the mushroom place up in Natural Bridge. They're doing 2 workshops in the afternoon if you're interested. They're gonna do different food, they're gonna do educational stuff at every farm, explain about their farm, how do they make the cheese, how do they process their milk.
So what is an oyster inoculation?
Oyster mushrooms, they inoculate
Oh, okay.
hogs.
I
and
thought, I was thinking
Yeah.
other oysters. not
Oyster mushrooms, yeah.
I've led a sheltered life.
How many oysters?
That's what I kind of jumped out at me.
And then we are asking that they do a survey. That's part of receiving their bag. So then we'll have an idea of where they've been, how many people are involved. So then we can bring that information back to you. So that will be helpful too, we thought.
Sounds like a good idea. Well done.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Clerk of the board reports, please.
You may want to ask the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there anyone here that would like privilege of the floor for any comments? Would you come up to the wall there and state your name for the record, please? Leroy, would you state your name, please? For the-
Yes, my name's Leroy Mashaw. I live at 6171 Pine Grove Road, on the sharp corner past the schoolhouse room. 67 years old. A 2-time cancer survivor, and I have COPD. Worked for the state DOT for 32 years. I lived here for 40 years. In the winter, keep the corner wide and mowed in the summer. I worked with Tom Sweet to fix the corner because it was not aligned right. It was tipping the wrong way. Tom took care of that, fixed it. No questions answered, he did it and did the right job. The fence is 6.5 foot off the blacktop. The stone from this project is 4+ inches deep in my lawn. I can't do the cleaning of the excess stone on my lawn. I'm not the only one, it's all over the county. Who's going to clean this stone up? As soon as the snow plows come and go out, all this excess stone will be on the lawns. Everyone that's been, lawns have been, the stone has been into the road. I'm asking the county to clean this mess up now, or for those responsible to clean this mess up. I'm not the only one, there's thousands of people in the county who feel the same way. We're taxpayers of Lewis County, we want to know what your response is. And I've talked to you and, Mr. Hunt, was it?
Yes, Mr. Hunt.
And hopefully this will get resolved.
It will get resolved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has any comments? Come forward, please, and state your name for the record.
Connie Peters. I live on Pine Grove Road, 6626 Pine Grove Road, just down from Mrs. Morahan. I'm not here about cars or any of that problems. I know that hurts them. I'm here because health problems. I'm 67 years old. I have asthma, COPD. The dust has been terrible. Close the house up and it still seeps in. I've been having a terrible, terrible time breathing. And I hope that this can be settled somehow, be fixed right. I mean, I've lived there for 40 years and I've never seen it like this, never. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna have a discussion later, hopefully we can resolve it. Is there anyone else that would like to offer comments or anything under the appropriate floor? Seeing no interest, we will move on to the board reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A resolution was received from Cattaraugus County urging Governor Hochul and the New York State Legislature to properly fund New York State mandated local programs. Sealer of Weights and Measures, Brian Mooney, submitted the June 2023 Summary of Field Service Report, which has been placed on file. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Is that better? Louder?
Can you hear the chairman in the back? Okay. We're gonna try to fix
How do
that.
you run this, Steve?
Is everything on it?
You just turn this one.
Check, check.
Could be. I'll remember that.
Some of us are IT smart.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Okay, we're gonna switch up the order here a little bit. We're gonna start with general services on the committee reports. And we'd like to invite Mr. Pepper and Mr. Nolan out for a discussion on I think it's the Pine Grove Road. I'm not sure if it's specific to that or if there's others.
Are you the referee, Tim? You're in the.
Yeah, I'm the sentinel stationed by the door.
So if I'm sure you're aware that there's been several dissatisfied county residents with Pine Grove Road in specifically, and if you could help us with why that is and what your resolution to that might be.
Certainly. So, again, my name is Mike Nolan. I'm the president of Suco Corporation. Sure. So we're a 102-year-old private New York-based company. We've been in pavement preservation that entire duration. We are very grateful for our customers in New York, and we have hundreds of thousands of miles of pavement preservation and heavy highway paving to our credit. And this project was a double chip seal or double surface treatment of a deteriorated road that had some rutting in it. The process itself is to apply emulsion, which is essentially water and asphalt, to the surface of the road, to apply a certain pre-calibrated amount of stone to the road itself, and then to do the process again. And
again.
Well,
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted.
The goal of that process is to seal the road, to preserve the road from oxidation, and get it to, in this case, it was really to try to get it to a future state where it could be repaved. There are a few important parts of a project like this. One is certainly the emulsion. The other one, certainly always construction technique, and the other one is the stone. The stone is of deep concern to us in this project. We just, for the record, and not really anything other than to really talk about our company's values, we've spent over $50,000 trying to correct mistakes on this road that were really the result of a very out-of-spec stone that was supplied to this job, as well as very shortly after that out-of-spec stone was supplied to the job, there was unfortunately a very large utility project that made use of that road, that took the average daily truck count from 26 trucks a day to, by our count, 200 an hour. And that kind of traffic, and for anybody in the pavement industry, every truck, really, they go by a measure called diesel counts. Every truck is worth 1,000 cars. And this technique and that sort of preservation activity really isn't meant for that kind of traffic. So the stone, I can certainly go into details as to why the stone created a problem, but it was massively out of spec to the point where under the 1/8 inch specification in that stone, the maximum is 15%. The sample that we took after we started encountering problems was 49%. So you can imagine how many small particles were in that stone that was supplied to us for the job. It is not the county's fault that this product was out of spec, but certainly for Suco, we also understand that that creates a major problem for us. So we, because we want to continue doing business with the county, we very much value our relationship with the county and the 500 other communities in the state that we do business. Have been very dedicated to trying to mitigate these issues and to get this road to a point where it can be passable and usable and durable, and really to get the result that the county wanted. And for that reason, we've put significant resources into watching this road 7 days a week for the entire summer since Memorial Day. And for circumstances that were well beyond our control. So we've been out in force, and certainly our name has been well known on this road because we're the ones that are really trying to work past these unforeseen, and I'll call them third-party issues that we couldn't correct. We can't make up for 200 trucks an hour. We can't make up for stone that is massively out of specification from a New York approved source. So And with that, I'm not deflecting, I'm not trying to deflect any responsibility, but, you know, we are very proud of the work that we do. And we feel that, you know, being on the front lines of this, we very much are trying to earn the continued business of the county.
What did you said you have spent $50,000 to mitigate or whatever. What did that entail? What have you done?
Yeah, so the first day that we started experiencing, because of high heat and the out-of-spec stone, that we started seeing some challenges on the road, which would be some black spots that were softer. And the challenge is that the stone is really supposed to sit on top of other stone and create sort of a skeleton.
Right.
And if it gets embedded too far, some of the stones start to turn. Once they turn, then the emulsion coated part of the stone that's under it, it just picks up, and then it's kind of like a snowball, right? So our goal the first day was to get some clean product and to apply clean products to the road to try to create that skeleton. And by adding a bit more stone, we tried to layer it on top of other stone and to get out of that layer of emulsion. After Memorial Day weekend, we bought a product which is a fine sand product, which are called, in New York, they're called bees. That product was also pretty out of spec, but we used that to cover the road to try to calm down any of the emulsion getting sprayed onto the cars. After the dust that was created by that, we applied magnesium chloride to the road, which is something you would use for dust control in many applications. We applied magnesium chloride to the road to get the dust down, and it acts better than water because it doesn't evaporate as much as water does. It really locks in the road. And then most recently, we took more of these 1As, they're called, which is a fine stone, but you know, still a stone that needs to be cleaned. We applied it to the road and then used a steel drum roller, followed by a very heavy-duty wheel roller. So the steel drum roller is meant to push the product into the emulsion. Now, and then though we do have wheel ruts, and sometimes emulsion migrates to the wheel ruts, so we had a wheel roller which has several independent wheels on it, and they have their own suspension to get into the nooks and crannies of the road. So that, as well as stationing people on this road pretty consistently for several months, has resulted in that cost.
So how do we fix it?
Well, there is a product that the county uses on bridge decks, which is called a Cape Seal, which is a surface treatment like the one that is on the road right now, that's covered by a micro emulsion. So a micro emulsion is applied wet. It is pre-mixed and applied wet. It uses a harder asphalt that's polymerized, and so that polymerized asphalt coats the road and creates a very durable surface for the road that covers the width of the road.
So is that, excuse me, is that a temporary or permanent fix?
Well, all pavement preservation is somewhat temporary in nature, but this is a fix for the road until it is scheduled to be paved at some future date. So this would be the same impact that we're looking for.
Typically, Phil, we look to see this to last 7 to 8 years. But that can vary based on traffic and, you know.
Well, that was my next question. You talked about the truck traffic. What is that gonna do?
We're aware
to
that
your
there's more
fix?
truck traffic coming on that road, and right now, we're applying a micro surfacing to the tollway south of Buffalo, so it's a very durable product.
So it can handle the trucks.
It can handle, it's on the tollway.
So this is a permanent fix. Once it gets
I
done.
want to avoid the word permanent, but this is a very durable fix.
This is a 10-year fix.
7 years.
Okay, I'll go with 7.
And my understanding that the road itself is, you know, it was scheduled at some point to be repaved. I know that this entire process was to try to get it to the point where it could have its full lifespan,
Right.
and be protected and then be repaved at some future date.
What's the plan for all the loose stone that is on the road and on the shoulders? I'm a
So,
resident of Pine Grove Road,
And to me, it is a hazard to drive down that road with all the loose stone on the side off of the pavement. Where does the pavement end? And it could very easily, is there a plan for picking that up or?
So working with Tim, we're going to, at a later time, come through with sweeping equipment to do that, yeah. So that would be.
Later time as in?
When it gets, after this has an opportunity to cure and, we don't want to create any further problem. It cures in about 20 minutes.
You're not gonna sweep it before you put this on?
Well, this
Is that what you're saying?
this covers the entire thing with a pre-mixed.
There's holes in the road, you know that.
Yes, this will.
What are you gonna do about those?
This will fill in the holes quite nicely.
I live on Pine Grove Road too,
Yes, ma'am.
and it has not been pleasant.
And I absolutely understand that, and you know, our folks, we employ 800 people in New York,
That's okay. We would like a nice road.
I absolutely want a nice road view, and
We've had it with this road.
we very much,
But
We
why
have
would
had
you
it.
sweep it before you put the coating on?
we don't want to sweep it right now because we don't
You're afraid
want,
it's gonna leak.
we don't want to add any undue agitation to the road. But again, ma'am, these issues were outside of our control. So we are in good faith
I get that.
moving
But
towards.
my
a solution
neighbors
here.
are just as upset as I am.
And as are we. I mean, we're very upset. When we buy a product from a New York spec source that's telling us that on their ticket that they're weighing out and selling us New York spec product, we expect it to be so. And
So you
that's- we
would
can't.
go in and test that yourself
We
before
did,
you put it on?
we did. We tested it in
And
the
what did your
stockpile at
specs
the
say?
quarry and it passed. And
Oh.
when it got to the road,
It didn't.
that very same pile apparently did not pass. And not by a small margin, by a massive margin. So the interior of the pile could very well have been quite dirty. The loader could have been digging into the floor. I think it's more probably that it was dirty on the interior of the pile. But again, you know, the challenge for us is we can't test every load of aggregate we buy from sources. We count on the state certification process and the self-certification process through the approved QC plans of every approved quarry and sand and gravel pit in the state. I mean, it's impossible for us to test. That'd be like testing the gasoline in every, you know, tank you, every fill up you get. It would be impossible. We wouldn't get any work done. At some point, we have to rely on the certification process in the state. We're certainly subject to a significant amount of oversight in that, and it's important for the system to work that be the case.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a couple of things? Mr. Nolan, assuming that the board agrees to do the micro-surfacing procedure, which is what I know our highway superintendent and we will talk about on Friday, presuming that the board approves that and goes forward, we haven't talked about the cost yet, but I'm sure we will. My question to you is, are we going to be assured that the emulsion materials will not come from the supplier who caused these out of
We can
certification
assure you of that.
materials,
No, we will not source from,
VS Verkla?
we will not source from the original.
And can you assure the board that you will test the emulsion materials prior to starting to pave?
As we bring the product in, we will test it as it's stockpiled, so that in the stockpile that it sits before it's placed into the machine, the paving machine, it'll be tested.
But don't you then test through the machine? But you do that at the end of the day?
No, so in the micro emulsion process, you stockpile sand.
Yeah.
And you use cement and a little bit of stone. You take those products, you place them into the hopper of the unit, along with tanks of emulsion, as well as some other chemicals and some water. And this is a calibrated machine. We calibrate with the state in doing state work. It's mixed in an auger system inside the machine at pre-calibrated rates and then placed into a screed, which then applies the wet material to the road. We can't, if it's tested in the stockpile, which would be the stockpile for the job located in wherever the staging area is. So Tim would identify some sort of staging area. We would purchase the material, bring it to that stockpile, then test it in that stockpile again after having tested it at the quarry.
And Tim, you're satisfied with that process?
Yes.
What is your response to the gentleman with the stone on his lawn?
The response would be that that's not the result that we would have wanted, and that's certainly not the result that we want for the county, and it's not the result that we want for any of our customers. That's not the result that we achieve, 99% of the time. And this is truly for us. Our folks are really just as frustrated and beat down about this as anybody else.
And we understand that. I mean, you've been around a long time, but this gentleman's got a problem.
Mike, you said after the micro paving is done, you're gonna go through with the sweeper?
After the paving's done, we'll work with him to schedule a time to go through the sweeper and make sure that the residents that the loose material around these residences is taken up or wherever else it needs to be taken up.
That's what I was getting at.
That, again, that's not the result that we want. And we're doing this, on behalf of our folks, because we want to continue doing business with the county. And I don't know, it's tough that no other party is able to participate in this. And for us, at the end of this puts us, several $100,000 into an issue that we are walking away saying that wasn't our doing, but we want to earn the business of the county, continue to earn the business of the county.
And us as well.
Of course, and that's
regarding the issue and the finances.
right. I understand that, and this is not the finalization of a job or the finishing of a job that we envision for any of the work that we do.
By the way, you said at 5:29 that you were gonna do the sweeping of those lawns, just for the record.
But,
Well,
well,
yeah,
but the process of sweeping is a shoulder sweeping. We're gonna come through with a sweeper and sweep the roads. And I hope everybody's happy with the outcome of the sweeping. It's with a broom. A vac truck doesn't work for that, so it'd be a mechanical broom. And working with the county to hopefully get the desired results. But
Was the timeline for that involve getting it before we get the snow that's coming this fall again?
I would imagine you want to do it before the snow.
any closer guesstimate to how long it'll be after you apply the emulsion to when you actually do the sweeping?
I would think that would be based on the schedule. I mean, we have folks who could be available to do it, so.
One
I think very
one
soon
day,
after,
1 week, 2 weeks?
within a couple of weeks, I think. I mean, again, the original plan was to wait until a little bit later, but we'll work with Tim and Ryan to find the right time to do so.
Just trying to give people some kind of an estimate of when that sweeping is gonna happen, that's all.
We're certainly in the thick of the season. We're gonna be able to get this micro emulsion applied really by hook and crook to interrupt our schedule to get that done. And then I will talk with Tim about the earliest possible date that we can get the sweeping done.
Okay.
So I don't understand, like right now, we have stone in the road. And you're gonna go right over top of that, you're not sweeping that.
We're going to
Because
go
by the
over,
Mud Puppy Bake Shop, the stone is in the center, or where your tire goes. And I felt like I had a flat tire, but it was stone. It's beat down and now bumpy. You're gonna leave that there and just put this stuff over top of it,
we're going to cover.
and it's gonna take care of the bumpy part. So I don't feel like I have a flat tire. I don't understand out of this process, and I've never seen it before.
I would imagine, the road itself was pretty heavily rutted, when we started. Most
But it's
chip
even
seals
worse
follow the
now.
contour of the road, but a micro emulsion can do some filling of voids in the road. And it can replace, some of the smoothness of the mat. It won't take I can't tell you,
Right.
it's not gonna be a hot mix paved road.
No, I get that.
But
But I think the road itself, as it stands right now, I don't know how you can begin to put anything on top of it.
And,
What do you think?
sorry to interrupt, but Andrea, there will be, certain sections will be double lift
Oh.
to help.
To help with that?
And the worst areas will probably be a scratch course and then an overlay.
Okay,
So a second.
okay, thank you. So we haven't talked about the cost. Did we talk
Every
about
summer's
the
a
cost?
busy summer, yeah, enjoy the winters, for a little bit of, we just get to work on equipment, but yeah, this isn't a result that we normally, encounter, and again, part of, a big part of doing this is because we don't want to see anybody end up with a bad road, and we value the relationship with the county, and we're really just as put out on this as you are in terms of, sort of walking into it feeling like, this is, but we've been here all along, and I know that our presence in some cases hasn't been, celebrated by any stretch, but we've still been here, and that, hopefully that matters, because there's mitigating circumstances that are significant contributors that are outside of our control, but we haven't stopped, working with the county to try to remedy these issues. So it's, and that's our value system, and that's, I think, how you stay in business for 102 years, and how hopefully we'll stay in business for another 102 years.
Mike, does the county need to let the power company that has all the trucks going by, do we need to have some discussion with them to keep them off the roads during this micro process? And for now,
There's a small window where we have to have lane closures, but micro cures quite quickly. So we'll work with them and make sure that they don't access, immediately after. But again, we break down and reopen lane closures on the throughway every day. So this is a fast curing product, and it's very careful.
So do we talk about cost, or where do we go from here?
Well, from here, we can move into the General Service Committee, and I think Ian has a motion that he'd like to offer.
Sure, I can proceed with that. And this is the cost estimate that was given to me. I moved to enter into an agreement with Suco to micropave the Pine Grove Road from the number 4 road to Verdick's Crossing for an approximate amount of $370,000, with the county paying 50% and Suco paying the other 50%.
So that's moved by Ian. Would someone like to second that? Second by Dick. Is there further discussion?
I just have a comment to make, that up here a little while ago, you said, through no fault of the county,
More so.
this road has turned out like this, but you want us to pay 50% of it. I don't,
Our approach isn't to ask you to pay 50%. Our approach was to enter into a solution where we are picking up 50% of the cost of a solution that is required through no fault we feel of ours. But again, we very much want to do and continue to do business, and our value system is such that we want there to be a good road and good roads into the future. But we also feel very strongly that it's not, that these circumstances aren't Suco's doing either. So it really, I think it comes to us both being in an unfortunate situation, where if there's other avenues or options to recover funds in this, that certainly those could be explored, but in order to do this in the most efficacious and time sensitive manner, this is what we've offered in partnership with the county. I didn't think in adversarial nature with the county.
I would like to see the county contacting VS Sprinkler to go over this, but in the interest, just as an attorney, I know how long that'll take. It'll take years if we end up in litigation with them. I would like to see the county for the residents do something now.
I would too.
Just to get it resolved,
Yes.
keeping in mind that we still have a big issue we have to take up with VS Sprinkler as a county.
And to that point, Joan, you can answer this. This is just an agreement between us and Suco. This has nothing to do with any potential claims that we might have with the supplier with VS Sprinkler. So we could,
Right,
if
and
it seems,
potential claims that Sudco also would have
right,
with
okay.
suppliers, so. As you all said, this was really something to just try to get the road fixed for the residents, and we will pursue what we have to, and I'm sure Sudco will work with us as well on that.
Mr. Chairman, I would add that Tim and I have already had some very productive conversations with the folks that are running the Smart Path National Grid project. They recognize the impact of, as Mr. Nolan said, the easel count on our roads, and that our roads were not built for that level of traffic. I would say, however, that the state of New York gave that project a waiver for local road restrictions. So we did not have the authority that we normally have to divert these very heavy loads. And in many cases, even though the company that's doing the project was very receptive and open and came up to meet with us several times, they were quite limited on the routes that are available to get up to that project. If you look at a map of roads of Lewis County, Pine Grove Road, number 4 road are critical for accessing that third of the county where this project was being complete. So on the county side, I do think that we can expect some compensation from that project. However, I would not, my thought is we should wait until next year, because a lot of that stone that was put in for those access roads needs to come back out once the project is complete. So I don't think it would be wise to seek a settlement now. We should wait until the job is done and then assess the damage as a whole.
I guess we're saying we need to keep all our options open.
Yeah.
Regarding our portion of this project. But I agree with everybody else, we need to get this road fixed sooner than later. And the chips, where they, chips, where they lie.
Larry, in that motion, there was an estimate or a figure quoted, and I think it said 50%, 50%. For everybody concerned, should it not be 50% of the final cost of doing all that work, rather than 50% of an estimate?
That's their proposal to do it, right? I didn't see the proposal, but
Yeah, so whatever the final bill is.
Whatever the final bill is, okay. Thank you.
Leroy, Connie, comfortable with this resolution?
As long as my lawn gets cleaned up before it snows.
Connie?
and as long as I can start breathing.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, my only other question is, where the county share this funding is coming from. I don't know if Tim has it in his,
I can't use CHIPS money. I'll have to see if there's maintenance money available. And if not,
would it come under capital?
I would say we don't have any capital available in the current year funding. So might be something we might have to consider using fund balance.
Tim and I talked earlier today. We're going to see, we've got quite a bit of slack in this year's budget, maybe not in the right line items, but there is slack to be had in money that's already been appropriated. We'll see if we can move some of that around. If not, we'll have to come back and appropriate fund balance. So it might be something for the August 15th committee meeting.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. And we'll continue with the General Services Committee. Legislator Gilbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I wanted to report on the Office of Building and Fire Codes. To date, they have issued 488 permits totaling $18,477,692 in projected values. They have conducted 192 state mandated life, safety, and property maintenance inspections of commercial properties, responded to 6 chimney fires, and responded to 37 complaints. To date, the office has issued 232 certificates of completion for occupancy and researched 7 record requests. They continue to remain busy throughout the summer months. With all the economic activity in Lewis County, it is great to see the expansions we've made to the office in recent years bear fruit. And that concludes my report, and I have no other motions.
Any questions for Ian?
You had enough motion.
Just one.
Big one. Thank you. And we'll move on to finance rules. Legislator Osborne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Planning and Community Development Department is working with the Village of Loudon, Marbella, and Natural Lewis to complete the master plan for developing the Trinity Ave, Forest Ave, Shady Ave corridor. Martin and Dugas has finished the PER for the Village of Turin and the Town of Turin, and is assisting in a WIIA grant application. Werner and Carr Associates, BCA, is beginning to work with the Village of Copenhagen Water District in preparation for various grant applications. The office is in the process of developing 4 CFA grant applications, 2 NYMS projects, 1 CDBG public facilities project, and 1 smart growth comprehensive planning project, as well as continuing to work on several existing broadband projects throughout Lewis County. And that's all I have at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Tom? No? And we'll move on to Health and Human Services with Legislator Berkler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, I wanted to say that Community Services has moved to their new building on Outer Stowe Street and is enjoying the space and the air conditioning, I'm sure. The 2024 local services plan was granted an extension, and the search for a mental health program coordinator continues. The request for proposal for Oasis prevention is being reviewed prior to publication. Transitional Living Services has recently recruited a psychiatric nurse practitioner for the ACT team, which is a vital position, very hard to recruit for. Credo is making leadership adjustments within their organization, and the Office of Mental Health and Oasis have facilitated regular meetings with Credo, TLS, Tim Ruin, and Patricia Valick to monitor the merging process of TLS and Credo. And I have no motion, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Lisa? Thank you, Lisa. And we'll move on to our hospital board rep, Legislator Chartray.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to be brief tonight because Mr. Kerr is going to give us an update on this capital project for the hospital.
Very good.
So I just would like to mention that Heather Bates, which is a surgical technician, is our April employee of the month, and Emily Paulson, staff development coordinator, as the May employee of the month. You see these employees around in their daily work, congratulate them on that. Jerry?
Thank you. Before jumping to the capital project, I wanted to give a review of some highlights from the last board of managers meeting. Dr. Harney gave an overview on our employee medical practices. That's relevant because over the last last couple of years, we've had long-term members of our medical community retire. And so Sean gave an overview to the board. So the takeaway, and what I want to share with you, is we are actively recruiting for 2 primary care physicians. We will be identifying a family nurse practitioner for the Copenhagen Health Center over the next few weeks. And we've also appointed 2 family nurse practitioners for the Beaver River Health Center. And at the insistence of Mr. Hathaway, we are likely to be initiating a recruitment for a family nurse practitioner at the Harrisville facility. So,
Amen to that.
on the operational side, we did have our, the Joint Commission triannual accreditation survey. The Joint Commission has deemed status with the Medicare program, which means if you're successful with that, then you stay enrolled in the Medicare program. It was a good survey. The operational team, primarily operations and clinical teams, led a nice survey. So in the not too distant future, we'll have our reaccreditation certificate. Will be good for another 3 years. On the financial side, inpatient revenue was higher in the ICU, the OR, medical, surgical, CAT scan, and MRI. Outpatient gross revenue was higher in the ER, the OR, lab, radiology, ultrasound, CAT scan, and sleep. So when I say higher, it meant we beat budget projections for the month. On the expense side, on the volume side, total OR cases were the highest they've been in a year and a half, and our surgical visits were the highest that they were in 7 years. So moving in the right direction. So I give you the good news, but there were some expenses that were challenged. Employee benefits were over budget due to the increase in the health insurance premium, as well as an adjustment to the workers' comp reserve by $174,000. And purchase services were higher. That's where we fund our traveling nurses, and we've seen an increase in travel nurses for both the nursing home and the hospital. Not unique to our organization, it continues to be a significant issue across the state of New York and across the country. On the budget side for FY24, and this is really the point I wanted to highlight, we have at this point nearly reached a final budget that we'll be bringing forward for $3.5 million. Next in line, the FTE budgets are being reviewed tomorrow. So you know how the process works. All the individual departments put in their requests, and you know, you have a lot of onesies and twosies with the hope of seeing some increased staffing, and then when it all gets put together in the big budget, sometimes it's a little bit bigger than anyone anticipated, and that's the work of that awaits us tomorrow. We also have pretty much completed our volume projections for next year. I think we're going to see some increases across the board. And lastly, we're going to continue, which we've done over the last 3 years, not increase the rates at the nursing home. We're going to continue with that. And we are actively and very close to being able to say we're not going to increase our rates at the hospital in FY24. And I envision we will selectively reduce some of the rates in some of our service lines. So we're going through that process right now. So that's my report, unless you have some questions for me.
Any questions for Mr. Kager?
And on your tables, I left our annual report for you. Don't hesitate to reach out after you've had a chance to look at it, and I can follow up with you on your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move to our project manager report with Nick and Jim Garrido.
I'd like to thank the board and the project manager again for allowing us the opportunity to report on the project. We're entering the summer months, and with summer construction, you know, our project is competing with schoolwork. There's only so many workers out there, so progress is moving as I anticipated, although it's not as fast as I would have liked. But that's something dealing with in the industry today. Shortage of workers, summer renovation work with schools, but we're moving forward on that. The other thing I'd like to do is, I've been reporting to boards for decades, but I've had the opportunity to work with my son, and both my sons now, and my youngest son, as you're well aware, he's going to Syracuse University to study civil engineering. So he's going to kind of follow family footsteps. I can't remember the first time I reported to a board, but I'd like my youngest son explain to the board members what he's learned and what opportunities he had to see. So Anthony, hopefully you remember this is your first before you go on.
Yeah, I'll remember it for a long time. On my short time of being on the project, I've learned quite a few things. Learned many ups and downs of these capital projects, both DMV and DSS and Highway Garage. I've learned how one of the big things is how informative these board meetings are, and all the meetings in general that are held are very important to make sure the jobs keep going and keep on track. And another thing is how important it is to have a good relationship with the many different contractors that are involved in these capital projects is very crucial as well. And being on site and that sort of thing is also going to be a crucial experience for before I go on to college, and talking with all these contractors and having them show me stuff on the site. And even one contractor had tried to have me drill in sheetrock that didn't go very well. They make it look a lot easier than it actually is. Overall, I'm thankful for this opportunity that I've got to learn and see how things are operated here.
So are you gonna stick with civil engineering, or you've been scared off?
No, I'm gonna stick with it.
Any questions?
I'm making you an update on.
A brief update, like Lisa said, moved into the Human Services building up there at the maintenance garage. Moved in, last little bit up there, there's a few loose ends up there with door hardware, a couple door hardware items, a little bit of paving. That's gonna go simultaneous with the paving down at the highway garage site. So the loose that's set up there. Down at DMV's moving right along nicely, just waiting for casework, which hopefully comes in the next couple of weeks. And then hopefully next month we'll be moving in. Then over at the highway garage site, the site is taking shape. I've been by it, you can really see the shape of the whole site coming right together. Interior wise, the paint's gone on the walls, the floor grinding started today. It's a 2-week process in the office areas. Floor grinding, then after that is casework, doors, ceilings. We've got a busting inspection this week to ensure that all the mechanicals and plumbing, electricals is as the designers anticipated, and they will move right along as well on the inside and outside. That's all. Thank you.
Any questions? Thanks, guys. Good luck with school.
Thank you.
And we will move to Phil's favorite, the county manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple quick items. Just reminding everybody once again that NISAC's Fall Conference will be held in a neighboring county, Oneida County, this year, September 13th through the 15th. It's a great opportunity for legislators, staff, department heads to mix and mingle with their counterparts in other counties, and I always have some great takeaways of things that we're doing quite well, and other counties that are doing things that maybe we could help us be better as well. We have officially kicked off budget preparation here in Lewis County. Most of the departments at this point have met with Brian, our purchasing manager, and so the capital budget is coming together. Very similar to what Jerry said. Capital and personnel anchor our budget. So a lot of departments have already met with Brian. They've already met with Caitlin to talk about personnel, and met with Connor to talk about their IT needs. So really, by the time the departments get to us, so Eric and I over the next month, they've already got a pretty refined product. Initial reports, we have the assessments of each town that has been complete. So we have, that's always a moving target to know exactly what that total assessed value is. But initial reports this year is that the total assessed value has increased significantly, which is a good, very good thing for the county. So if your base of the denominator of how we determine our tax rate is up, that means that, you know, we have a good opportunity to lower taxes. So I can't make any promises until everything comes in and we get it all together, but Eric and I have had some initial discussions with Candy, looking at values. You know, I think we're gonna have a very good year for taxpayers when the budget fully comes together. So we'll be working on that over the next few months, and I would say that concludes my report, unless Phil has anything to
Well,
add.
you said that we got good news for taxpayers at 5:58. And we're gonna be held to that. You're on the record.
19 minutes after Mr. Nolan's comment.
Any questions for Ryan? Thank you, Ryan. We'll move on to the county treasurer report here, please.
Thank you. I'd like to try and determine what time Phil is going to tell us. He's only got 4 months left, and we'll get that on record.
At what time I say that, right?
I really don't have too much to add. You have the written report that I provided you with sales tax information and some of our reserve balance information. If you have any questions on that, fire away. I would note our annual property tax foreclosure auction is moving ahead for August 24th. It's been a little bit of a bumpy road on that, as you know, with state legislation, but we've been able to get in and get everything done in time that we could have that auction this year. We will be required to hold any proceeds, and the potential chance that a property owner has the opportunity to take back any excess that we might make over their tax amount due. So that'll be a change this year. So that's August 24th, and I think as of right now, there are 12 properties scheduled to be auctioned, and that can still decrease. They still can pay for about another 2 weeks.
That's what I was gonna ask. What's the last date?
It's 5 days prior, Phil, so I think the 19th, could be the 18th at the end of the day, but in the 18th or 19th.
Thank you.
Anything to add about health insurance?
No, we've had a little uptick over the last month. Our claim expenses paid out have settled a little bit, been a little bit lower over the last month. And also we had a reimbursement from our stop loss policy, so improved a little bit over the last month and continue to monitor that for sure.
Other questions for Eric?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Report of the Finance and Rule Committee for Rule 7, Cassandra, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee reports that they have examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $3,076,276 and recommend that they be audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
Need a motion? Lisa, second by Andrea. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries. Moving on to resolutions, the individual resolutions we have identified that we're going to pull and vote on separately are number 136, 140, 151, and 152. Are there any others that anyone would like to vote on separately? Okay, would someone like to make a motion to pass remove the consent resolutions?
I would do that.
Moved by Phil, second by Tom. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the consent resolutions pass. And we'll move back to 136.
Resolution number 136 is auditing and allowing claims in the amount of $3,076,276.
Moved by Lisa, second. Josh? Any discussion?
I have to recuse myself. There's 2 payments that were payable to me in my position as the assigned council administrator.
I've noted that. And remove, this is a roll call.
Legislator Mosier,
Yes, with the exception of the 2 that were for me.
Legislator Chartrand,
Yes.
Legislator Gilbert,
Yes.
Legislator Hathaway,
Yes.
Legislator Levicker,
Yes.
Legislator Morahan,
Yes.
Legislator Millenbeck is excused. Legislator Osborne,
Yes.
Legislator Berkler,
Yes.
and Legislator Dolhoff.
Yes.
Resolution number 140 is to reappointing Director of Human Resources and Personnel Officer.
Moved by Dick, second by, I was gonna wait and see if maybe Woods, Andrea. Any discussion? This is a time for the hot seat.
I think she does a great job.
To us.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 151 is a resolution increasing taxes on sales and uses of tangible personal property and of certain services on occupancy of hotel rooms and on amusement charges pursuant to Article 29 of the tax law of the state of New York. This is also the, known as the 1% additional sales tax extension.
Moved by Josh. Anyone else want to step up to the plate? Ian, discussion?
And make a couple notes.
Yes.
Two things. One, this is a new resolution because the legislature made it a 2-year extension, not a 3-year. So we already voted on one that was 3 years. We had to do one for 2. And secondly, all of the sales tax extensions have reached the governor's desk. She has to sign them by the end of the month. No governor has ever failed to sign. But we are waiting on that official move, and then our sales tax will be extended for 2 years.
Just for clarification, this is not an increase in sales tax. This is a continuation of the sales tax that we have been charging for many, many years. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries.
Resolution number 152, this is a resolution authorizing and ratifying tentative agreement and final contract between the County of Lewis and Local 825 of the Civil Service Employees Association.
Moved by Lisa. Do I have a second? Jessica, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries. Other business, do we have any other business?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to remind everyone that we have the employee appreciation get together on Thursday, so I'm hoping some legislators will be there.
We have a game this year called Lewis County Price is Right, where Brian and a couple of the interns have helped us select items that have been purchased by the county over the last year. And we're gonna call employees up and see who can guess the prices right, and if they're close, they get a prize.
Should be exciting.
Just so the president there.
Okay, if there's no other business, motion to adjourn. Dick, second. Josh, all in favor? We are adjourned.